Alright, so these are my first impressions of using Windsurf to build a DevSecOps pipeline. So I don't know if you caught my last few videos on using Cursor AI to build a DevSecOps pipeline, but you can probably go watch that video on my channel. But this time I'm using Windsurf instead of Cursor. So if you've been sleeping under a rock, you would know that Windsurf and Cursor AI are out and they're pretty compatible with one another, and you can pretty much start building applications using these IDEs with AI. And what I'm doing is using them to make DevSecOps pipelines. So, what happens when you start asking the AI to go ahead and start building a DevSecOps pipeline? So, I'll say I'm pretty impressed with the initial output. This is an Airbnb clone. It didn't originally come with Docker files for the API and the client, and it didn't also come with this infrastructure as code. So the AI went ahead and built the Docker files and the Terraform file for me, and then from there, it went ahead and built the DevSecOps pipeline around that. So of course, I had to query it a few times. I had to ask it a few questions. Like the first question you can see is, can you make a DevSecOps pipeline around this code? And of course, I just had to get the zip file from GitHub and upload it into here. Just pull it onto my computer, and then push it in here. And then to get it back into GitHub, I just made a fork, and then I just used the command line to push it back in there. But that's a different story for a different time. You can also see that it makes the .github workflows and the DevSecOps file, like the main.yaml file. If you're familiar with DevSecOps, you'll know that, especially in GitHub, you'll know that, you need this file to run your pipeline. It created the API Docker file, the client Docker file, Terraform. And if you're in DevSecOps, you'll know that these things are useful because you can start scanning the infrastructure as code, and on top of what the AI has given you, you can further secure it by using security scanners for infrastructure as code. You can do the same for your Docker files. You can go ahead and it goes ahead and builds the files for you in this pipeline. So you can upload it into Docker or AWS or Azure container registries as needed. So you can go ahead and scan from there your own custom images. And then also, I just asked it to, keep making it more robust. So can you add some Docker scans? Of course, it says it was going to enhance, and it enhanced using, different Docker scanning tools that are out there for open source because, Sneak isn't the best on the free version. So I like to go ahead and do some scanning with some other Docker tools. And then also, I gave it two suggested tools that I like when it comes to DevSecOps for Docker scanning, so Sift and Gripe. And then it goes ahead and adds those. We can go ahead and find them if we want to. Let's go ahead and Control F. Gripe. What the world? It's not here. Okay. Let's see. Does it still keep Sift? I think it may have converted it into something else. Yeah. Let's keep seeing what else I asked it to go and see. Can you make the pipeline more robust? Right. Trigger control, concurrency control. Yeah, it may have replaced it with something else. I believe when I ended up asking it, could it be more catered to AWS? I'm gonna build this pipeline in AWS, so it may have just pushed it there. Okay, AWS security scanning. So you can see in this container scanning section, it pretty much does all of that cater to AWS. So it looks like it's going to be doing the run AWS inspector on the containers. And just doing a lot of things that are a lot more akin to AWS from there. And just doing a lot of scanning that is like AWS specific there. So, and another thing to keep in mind is number one, this continue on error equals true. You really want to make sure that's in there especially when you're first doing DevSecOps. This is a really big thing that the AI misses, and I had to mention to add. But this is something very important, especially when you're just starting out in DevSecOps. You don't want it to catch errors, and I'll probably keep explaining that until I retire. So, as you can see, let's keep on going. I mean, there's not much else to add. I mean, not much else to observe here besides is the last thing, like sending Teams notifications. So, of course, I'm just having it send to Teams because that's what I have on my computer right now. You can kind of see it right here. And then I don't really use Slack. Other thing I use is Discord. But Teams is a bit more professional. I use Teams in my day-to-day operations, and I've always used it in every single organization I've been at. So I'm just gonna use Teams. Sometimes it suggests Slack or it suggests Telegram, but I like Teams. So, and this is our infrastructure as code part. It's the deployment part. So as you can see, it builds out a full DevSecOps pipeline for you. Now this is just the code. You have to go through and hook up AWS, make your keys, hook up container registries, make your containers there, make sure everything's looking good. You have to refine it and make sure everything works. And with Teams, you gotta go and get your webhook and all those things. So keep in mind, this is just the beginning. My initial review is that yes, it looks great. It gives you the structure and everything else you need to figure out. But when I push this into GitHub, I initially got some errors here. Like, it won't even start up. So, of course, I got to start going through, configuring everything, putting everything into place. And then I'll probably make another video giving a review on how that process went. So, that is using Windsurf AI to construct a DevSecOps pipeline.